Hello and welcome everyone to this total full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus video that is actually the second time that I'm recording, and it's interesting because it perfectly aligns with this energy because Mars is retrograde in Gemini, so and there is a square between Saturn and Uranus. So it's a very heavy energy, and we probably have to do some things more times. For example, we think that we did something perfectly and we finished everything, but then something turns up and we figure out that we have to do it again. That's Mars retrograde, very frustrating. So I was recording this video yesterday, and I spent 1 hour and 10 minutes recording this live, and when I finished we realized that my face was blurry all the time, that the focus was on the background, not on my face, so the video is useless. So I had to do it again today, and I have to say, I have to be honest with you, I was very frustrated. I felt that burning inside of my body, and like, no, I cannot do it again. But after a couple of moments, I sat with myself. I went down into my being, actually closed my eyes, and I figured out, okay, it will be much better than it was yesterday. It will probably be much more meaningful, and I will probably say some things that I didn't say in that live. That's, you know, there's the higher purpose for sure, especially with eclipses, because whatever happens during eclipses is really meant to happen. There is no mistake there, no mistake. It's definitely there for something better. So if something doesn't turn up as we want it to be, we just have to really accept it and see the better side of it. Allow ourselves to transform the perception, to change the way of looking at why and how certain things happened. And just accept it and try to do the best that we can, even if we have to do some things 10 times. Or for example, if a conversation with someone didn't go well, or if a job interview didn't go well, or you know, whatever, if there is something that's going on in our life that is really frustrating us, that is really irritating us, we have to see that there is a deeper message behind these things. There is very specific reason why is this happening. And Mars is retrograde in Gemini since the 30th of October, and it will be retrograde until the 12th of January. So it's a lot of time to be retrograde Mars in Gemini, and we will see some hidden anger, resurfacing hidden anger within ourselves that is coming up, and we will feel frustrated if we allow ourselves to look for solutions and resolutions outside of ourselves. When we are focused on external things during the retrograde period, we will definitely feel frustrated. And Mars in Gemini retrograde is the perfect timing for ourselves to go deep within ourselves, because Gemini is mental energy, communications, travels, connecting with people. And with Mars retrograde there, that active energy, that drive, that passion, that forward movement starts going backwards. And we will feel this backwards energy. It will feel like we are shuffling, we are running, but we are not getting anywhere. So it may be very frustrating. So it's a very good time to dive deep into yourselves, to touch those deeper layers of our mental energies, of our mentality, because Mars rules our thought patterns, our mental processes. So we can now do them differently, we can see them differently, because Mars retrograde gives us a lot of time and space to transform these mental patterns and to go into some deep meditations. And if we are in any way involved in any kind of meditation, it's really the perfect moment to go there. And also for writing, for journaling, for communicating but for being very, very careful of the words, because words are spells. As I say many times, words are really spells, and they have the power to transform reality, and they create reality. What we speak, we create, actually. And I will talk more about these creations and transformations through our voice, because this is total full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, and Taurus rules the voice and throat chakra, and it is very, very connected to the sound energy, to light energy. But we'll get there. I just want to now start talking about this eclipse and what eclipse actually means. And we had eclipse 2 weeks ago in Scorpio. It was solar new moon eclipse, and it happened next to the south node in Scorpio. And this one happens in Taurus, so the opposite sign. And eclipses always happen in pairs, in opposites, in signs of opposites. And this series of eclipses started around the end of 2021. So this should give us some clues, because there is some storyline that follows these eclipses. There is some process that is happening together with these eclipses, and this one is inseparable with the previous one that happened 2 weeks ago, and it's also inseparable with the ones that happened in April and May, and it's also inseparable with the ones that started end of 2021. But this also goes back. It goes back into the cycles before, because the last time these eclipses in Taurus Scorpio were active was somewhere around between the 2012 and 2014, and also it was before 19 years ago, so it was between 2003 and 2005. So this should give us a bit of taste of what it is about. We can think about these times, what was happening back then, what big processes and transformations we've been through, and we can get a clue, we can get pieces of puzzle to see what this is all about, because maybe lessons that we were supposed to learn back then, we maybe didn't learn. So now we have another chance, we have a new chance during this time to go through these lessons again, and to see them for what they are, to acknowledge them, to understand them, to accept them, to integrate them into ourselves and to absorb them. So it's a much bigger cycle and deeper cycle, but it also goes back to our ancestors. When I say back, this doesn't have to mean exactly in the past, because past and future are also inseparable. They are just terms in our minds that we have to use in order to understand the time and space. But future and past are very much connected, so these are messages from the future and messages from the past as well, and very huge karmic cycles. These are big karmic cycles, so we have an opportunity to go through great cleaning of big, huge karmic cycles, to go through great release, great cleaning up of these ancestral mechanisms, programs, and contracts. And this doesn't mean that we have to fix things that our ancestors did, because it doesn't matter if they did something wrong or right. We are carrying the good and the bad within ourselves. So it's more about ourselves really understanding that these ancestors and descendants are actually within ourselves. So we carry them within ourselves. Ancestors we carry in our bodies, in our blood. Then they don't have to necessarily be blood ancestors. And we carry our descendants because our ancestors are also our descendants. And we stretch between our ancestors and descendants. We stretch between them and we carry them within ourselves. And we have a power to really wake up those hidden treasures that are sleepy and that are dormant in those hidden energetic fields of our ancestors. So it's very powerful time of these eclipses. And when I say eclipse means like the darkening of something, like we don't see something clearly, but actually the moment of eclipse is the moment of enlightening. so we can use this eclipse in order to bring more light into our lives, because eclipses are there for that. Eclipses are there to remind us of our shadows, of our darkness, and of our light as well, because these things cannot work without each other, actually. And we are now breaking free from certain karmic, very strong karmic blockages, because it's also, this eclipse triggers the Saturn Uranus square that's been going on in the last 2 years between these two titans, Saturn and Uranus. Very different energies, but what's interesting, they both rule the same sign, Aquarius. And we are now in the transitioning period of moving into the age of Aquarius. So these eclipses are like initiations, and this square of Uranus and Saturn is like an initiation into this age of Aquarius that is already in the process, but we are now waking up more and more to certain truths. And the previous eclipse in Scorpio gave us a truth serum. We were injected with truth serum, and it means that we have to go through a big purging process, to a great cleaning process. And the previous eclipse was in conjunction with the South Node. So the South Node and the North Node, they are always also in the opposite signs, and they are also known as the head and the tail of the dragon. The head is the North Node, the tail is the South Node. The North Node, the head represents the future, the South Node and the tail represents the past and what we're carrying with ourselves. So this is again the ascendants and descendants. So they are all also involved in the head and the tail of the dragon. And during this eclipse, this is next to the North Node. So we are more focused on our future. We are more focused on the things that we have to achieve. And definitely we have to look at the things that we need to leave behind, because eclipses definitely always take away something from us. Something is being taken away, and it can be many things. It can be heavy, of course, it can be intense, but whatever is taken away was supposed to be taken away, because we need to make space and room for more new things. This is what eclipses are about, and they always remind us that nothing is ever truly lost. And this eclipse triggers, as I said, this square between Uranus and Saturn, and this full moon eclipse in Taurus is right next to Uranus, so it's in conjunction, and Uranus is the planet of change, of transformations, of shocks, of sudden and unexpected changes, of things that happen out of the blue, of earthquakes and shakeups. So it doesn't really have to be that that big and shocking, because I see many mainstream astrology articles and websites and videos talk about, the big change, the big life-changing moments, intensity, shocking news, protests, violent energy, all these kinds of negative news, bad news that people receive and absorb on an unconscious level as well, and this creates fear. So there's a lot of fear. A lot of fear is being infused in the collective, and we can pick up from that field, and we can pick up great fear. But I am really happy that I have a chance to say here, at least to those who are listening to this and in ether, so that this message can be spread, that there is nothing to be afraid of these eclipses. Eclipses are to be celebrated. We have to celebrate these times, because these are big shifts, big trajectory changes that we need to go through, that we need in order to be renewed. We would never be renewed if there were no these eclipses. And this one is wonderful because it triggers this square. This is the last, the waning square of the Saturn and Uranus. It won't be active in 2023. It will be gone for many years to come, and we will feel that relief. We will feel as some burden has fallen off our chests, and this is the great moment to feel that peak, to feel what it is that we cannot hold on anymore, that we cannot repeat anymore, that we cannot see happening again anymore, that we have to really break free from, that we have to break those chains and cut it off, like it's enough. And we may see something like coming and going over the top, something that we just cannot accept anymore. So it's something that is pushing us out of our comfort zone. It's pushing us that into that abyss that I spoke about in last lives. It's pushing us definitely this full moon eclipse, because this is revelation of something. This is us looking at ourselves with raw perspective. This is about facing our raw emotions, raw feelings, and it can be heavy, it can be uncomfortable, but it's there to give us opportunity to break through those chains, to break through those imprisoning modes that we are that we have learned through authorities and education systems and all other things about different rules and norms that we have to follow. So Uranus is really helping us to break free from these things. And this full moon is in opposition with the Sun, Venus and Mercury in Scorpio, and Venus is next to the South Node, to this tail of the dragon. And it's really helpful because Venus is the planet of love, of beauty, of harmony, of relationships, of values, of comfort. So we can harmonize ourselves. We can harmonize our own being with our friends, with our parents, with our families, with our ancestors, with our roots, with our past, with our future, with nature, with the universe, with our higher selves. We can really harmonize these relationships, because we may see during these times that we are in total disharmony. And it's all right if it's like that. There is no place for panic, really. There's no place for any kind of panic during these eclipses. It's time to really hear ourselves completely and honestly, directly hear what we are, look at what we are, see what we are, and we will understand that no matter how many times we judged ourselves or judged others or explained something to justify ourselves, it doesn't matter, because it all stays within ourselves if it's not really faced, if it's not really confronted. So this is that moment again when we are being confronted one-on-one with our shadow. We are in the face of death. And this may sound scary, but of course this is again just an illusion and just an imposed belief that death is death is our enemy. Death is the end of this existence, when in reality death is just a transformation. It's change of shape, change of form. It's transforming us, and this is just another cycle. It's a cycle of renewal. So without death we would never be able to be renewed, just with this eclipse. And we are embracing both life and death, day and night. We cannot live only during the daylight, we need night as well. And the same is with life and death. Death needs to exist there in order to renew life. It recycles life. And actually the moment of birth defines the moment of death, and the moment of death also defines the moment of birth. So our first breath when we come into this physical material world, our first inhale, in this moment when we inhale, our first breath is the moment when we inhale the cosmical elements within ourselves. And this is why the natal chart is important, because we know by this that certain planets, we know about our inner solar system, because we also have our inner solar system. It's not only above our heads. It's not about their motion external, it's about the meaning of what does this mean for me. And this first breath actually defines my last exhale as well. And the rest in between is something that I can transform and change. And death is really not the end. So these eclipses are here to teach us this, and those who have ears to hear, those who have eyes to see, will be able to really dive deeper and to receive some intuitive messages. and it may happen through external things, it may happen through external relationship issues, through family dramas, through intimate relationships intensity, because it's Scorpio and it's connected to this previous eclipse in Scorpio. So there is this strong push and pull energy between Taurus and Scorpio, and this has to do with our values, my values versus your values, my sufficiency versus your sufficiency, my money versus our money, shared money, my feelings, my life versus our shared life. And we may see certain conflicts and tensions in these relationships, these intimate partnerships and business partnerships, and these things are also teaching us how to become more connected with the truth in ourselves, not with the things that we see externally, superficially. We have to look deeper. Why is this happening to me? Why am I hearing this from this person? Or why do I have a need to say this? Why do I have a need to do this or that? We can now dive deeper and see what is really the hidden message of these things that are happening, because there is a language, this universal language that we don't see, we don't see with our physical senses. But if we have ability to be in the present moment, we will be able to hear these messages and to understand this language without the translator. This is when we can understand the language of the nature without translator, and this is really perfect. This is the most beautiful thing ever. But we forgot this because we are always somehow pulled between the past and the future. We are always either in the past or in the future. We barely have any moments when we are really present, totally present, because we complicate many things, and simplicity is the key during these times. This is Taurus energy, simplicity. So this is about, the strength. Taurus is about the strength, so we are building our inner strength as well. This is about patience, this is about stability, this is about building something long-lasting, something that we want to see, something that has really long-lasting values, because the ruler of this Taurus full moon eclipse is Venus, and Venus is in Scorpio. So this is about really building great inner strength, great stability, but also being able to be flexible in our relationships, because this inner strength doesn't mean that we are stiff and strong externally. This is more about us being able to be flexible with others, being able to hear things that we don't like, being able to say things that we feel uncomfortable with, but that we know that we have to say them. So this is about doing the hard work, maybe, because Saturn is also involved, and this is Taurus, this is strong energy of Earth as well. So there is some hard work that we have to do, but it also can mean for those people who are working already very hard, for them it can be the hardest work not to work so hard. So it depends. For everyone it will be different. So what is hard work for you? That hard work will have to be done in one way or another, and it is definitely something that takes us out of our comfort zone. This Saturn-Uranus square is very interesting. Again, I'm saying because it's very active since 2020, and it's now coming to its peak. So it's coming to explosion, and we will feel it inside of us, because Saturn represents things that are old, while Uranus represents things that are new. So Uranus is revolutionary, awakening energy, and Uranus has ability during this time. It has a role to literally wake us up, to shake us up and to wake us up, and we are waking up to something. This truth serum that is being injected in us is rising in ourselves, and we are faced with some things that we may not like, but we have to see them, and we have to acknowledge them, and we have to sit with them, not to run away into escapisms, into addictions, because this is strong energy of addictions as well. And addictions can be many. It doesn't have to be only some substances like drugs and alcohol or cigarettes. These addictions go way deeper. Addiction can be certain emotional addiction towards some feelings, for example, and it can sound strange, but we can be addicted actually to suffering. Many of us are addicted to suffering, and I also spoke about this in the previous live of solar eclipse in Scorpio, because darkness is seducing, it's seductive, and we feel attracted towards the things that actually scare us and that actually pull us down, because it's easier for us to do this than to see that we really have the power to do something, to change these things, to live life that is like the true nectar of life. We have the power to create those sufferings into the nectar of life, and we are now being squeezed because this juice is being taken out of us, because we have to bring that essence out, and we maybe feel squeezed, but we shouldn't be afraid of being squeezed. We should allow it, and this doesn't mean to give up. This means to surrender, being able to surrender, especially when things are beyond our control. And we will see many things that are beyond our control during these times. Many things are beyond our control, and we have to understand them. We have to accept that certain things need to be done in certain way. We cannot do anything about it, so let this energy squeeze me, let it destroy me completely if needed. And we may feel like this actually, and this is the energy of also broken dreams, broken memories, broken promises, and we are facing these broken things, but they are actually the ones that give us fuel for building ourselves, for building that inner strength. These broken things are helping us build ourselves again and rebuild and renew. And it's very powerful when we know these things, because then we can allow ourselves to feel anything, whatever it is. We won't judge ourselves, we won't judge others, we won't have a need to blame anyone, because we will just see that nature has a secret way of communicating with us, and life always gives us what we need. Life always gives us all that we need in order to grow, to learn, to to let go of the things that we don't need, that we think that we need. But we are somehow always running away from resolving things, and we run away into addictions, we run away into escapism. And what do we do when we do these things? We jump right into the issue again. So there is no escape. You know, there is that saying, you can run but you can't hide. And that's true. We cannot hide from ourselves, because our inner selves, our real true essence being, always knows. It always knows everything about us and what happened and what we hide and what we don't like, what we suppress, what we want to be seen and known. It knows everything, and we cannot hide from ourselves. You know, it will be revealed one way or another once, and it's better if we deal with it when the time is right. Whenever we see these things being right in front of us, when we see our shadow in front of us, when we see a problem, when we see an issue coming, we shouldn't run away from it. Of course, we shouldn't be the ones who provoke these things, but if it's already there, it's there for a very specific reason. And we are, during these eclipse times, being reminded that there is truly this universal language that communicates with us all the time, that nature is all the time communicating with us. And in ancient times, in the age of Taurus, because this is full moon in Taurus, in the age of Taurus, this was known, because the age of Taurus was 4000 BC. It was like 6000 years ago, age of Taurus, Babylon and Egypt. And during these times, people were in connection with nature. That's why the holy cow was praised and honored. It was a symbol of new life, of birth, of blooming and blossoming. That's why Taurus is representing life and flowers and blooming. And it's very interesting because Taurus represents life, while Scorpio represents death, and they are inseparable, right? Life and death, Taurus and Scorpio. Taurus is about blossoming, and Scorpio is decaying. Taurus represents spring, and Scorpio represents the fall, when the leaves are falling. And the leaves are falling, we have to accept that sometimes we also have to allow our own leaves to fall. Those old leaves have to fall, because the new ones will blossom. The new ones cannot come if the old ones don't fall away. So we are now allowing ourselves to let these old leaves go. And during these times, at the age of Taurus, there was a cult also, and preservation of the body. So people knew that the body was very important, and that all elements were actually inside of ourselves, that we are the highest technology that there exists. We are the greatest technology that there is. Our bodies are the greatest devices, and all other devices and technology, no matter how upgraded and advanced it is just a copy of who we are. So the advanced technology is trying to copy the technology of us, but technology cannot copy the spirit. And we are actually really spiritual beings, all of us, and technology cannot copy that. I'm not saying that technology is bad. We should definitely use them and use it, and without technology I wouldn't be able to do these lives and to communicate with you, right? So we have to know how to use these things, and this is with everything true, with every energy. This is true. It's how we use something, and we should know that we are that most powerful advanced technology, because we have the power to convert energies. So it's not about energies being bad or good. They are neutral. They are just what they are, but we make them because these energies work through us, and when they work through us, we give them the polarity, we give them the colors, we give them the sounds, we give these energies everything, so they are expressed into the external world, and they come from subtle realms. And this is how we do with everything, and how we channel emotions. How emotions are not good or bad, they are just emotions, but it's how we channel them. And this is about true purification process. This is why it's very important to go through this great purging, through this great cleaning, through this great healing. And Scorpio triggered that collective healing, and we are individually going through this cleaning, and it's very good time to go through detox program, through mental detox, emotional detox, physical detox, because this is when we will be able to channel these energies in their purest form. And otherwise these energies will give us what we are. We will see exactly what we are and who we are and where we are. So if we see during these times the energies that we don't like, that are somehow impure, I'm not saying that we are impure, but I'm saying that we have to do the cleaning process, because we have collected so much garbage during our lives, so much trash, so much unnecessary, so many unnecessary information and data, unnecessary and actually false things, false knowledge. So we are now going through a reset, and these eclipses can bring financial resets as well, emotional resets, psychological resets, all kinds of resets. And when we purge ourselves, when we go through this purging fire, we are actually reset. So it's about the big reset of who we are, and then we can channel these energies in their pure form. So what we see during these times is exactly telling us where we are with ourselves, what kind of energy we have inside of us, what kind of filters we use, so that we see the channeling of this energy in this way. So it's telling us a lot about ourselves, and it's very good to know that Taurus represents this throat chakra that I mentioned at the beginning of this live. So it's ruling our voice, our vocal cords, and this is also the moment that we express ourselves for the first time through our voice. We let the voice out when we are born, right? The baby is crying when it's born. So this is the first connection with this physical reality. and it's immediately a bit hard, right? Because the baby is crying, so it's exactly the immediate trauma. But we let that voice out, and we had our first inhale, which defines that last exhale, as I said. And this last exhale also defines our first inhale that will happen again in renewed moment. So it's absurd to be afraid of things that we can lose, because we cannot lose anything. Matter and energy are always being transformed into one another. Again, Taurus represents the matter and Scorpio represents the energy. So they are electromagnetic forces, and matter can become energy at any time, and energy can be transformed into matter at any time. And energy, when it's becoming dense, when energy is traveling through time and space, it becomes dense and denser, thick, and it becomes the matter. And then matter, when it dissolves, when it reaches its peak, but like when we grow old and we reach our highest peak of this existence, the matter dissolves into energy, and then again this energy is recycled and turned into matter. So really, there is no such thing as death that we've been told that exists. Death is completely something else. It's transformation. It's a completely natural cycle of renewal and regeneration, and it's something that has to happen as a mechanism of life and death, mechanism of the soul's journey, because the soul would never be able to evolve and grow without the presence of death. And what I was talking about, this Taurus vocal energy, voice and throat chakra. Scorpio, on the other hand, represents our reproductive organs, and these reproductive organs and our throat, they hold the spine, right? So the bottom of the spine is the Scorpio, and this moment here is the Taurus. So, and in between are Jacob's ladders, the stairway to heaven. So our spine is very important, because it holds that Kundalini energy. The snake, the serpent energy is at the bottom of the spine, sleeping. And it's of course dangerous to work on waking up this Kundalini energy on our own without some knowledge. That is why we need this truth serum that was injected in us. And of course this will be a different journey for each of us. Each of us will go through different journey of waking up, but we are all definitely going through a certain waking up during these times. And what is very important is that this Taurus Scorpio polarity has very much to do with this spine and with the energy that happens through our spine. And spine has a very mystical meaning as well. It is multi-layered, but I won't go now into those details. I will just mention that Scorpio has also those 3 stages that I mentioned in the previous live, and I recommend to all of you to go and check the previous live, The Alchemy of the Soul, the solar new moon in eclipse, because it's very much connected to this one, in Scorpio, to this one in Taurus. They are working together, and very similar energies, very hard energies. That was the opening of the Pandora box, and this is the facing of the content from the Pandora's box. So this is that was the opening of curtains, and this is the actual show. We are on the stage and we are looking at the show. And this spine energy and the bottom of the spine where the snake lies is now starting to come alive. It's waking up, and this is why we may see some things that we don't like, because the detox, the purging is starting. And the snake energy is very much connected to the scorpion, because these are all beings that are connected: the dragons, the serpents, the snakes, the scorpion. And we see that S letter is also like the serpent and the serpentine. It's the spiral. That's why the S, it's always the spiral. and our soul's journey is spiral, and time is not linear, it's spiral. It goes in spirals. Time goes in spirals, and we ourselves move in spirals as well. And the labyrinths of our souls are also in spirals. So our spine is spiral. Our DNA double helix is also the spiral, and this DNA in ourselves is very tight, and there are many knots, there are many ties that we have to untie, and these eclipses are giving us an opportunity to untie these knots, to bring the resolution, to make these spirals of DNA flow freely like this, to be free, to be floating, to be in harmony, to bring in harmony these our two hemispheres, to bring into harmony our masculine and feminine principles, to bring into harmony our sun and the moon within ourselves, our inner mother and inner father, and to create our inner family, to bring them into the perfect harmonious flow. We have this ability now because we can understand the spirals, and we should pay attention to our dreams as well, because dreams are telling us a lot during eclipses. And Mars is squaring Neptune, and Neptune is in Pisces, the ruler of Pisces, also very much connected to dreams and visions and intuitive knowledge, intuitive messages. So we can dive deeper, we can go deeper into the truth of what this is all about, of how life communicates with us through the symbols. We can understand the symbols better, and we can understand the symbol of the snake, we can understand the symbol of the dragon, again the head and the tail of the dragon, the dragon eating its own tail, the snake eating its own tail, you know, the symbol of the infinity, the number 8. These things represent life and death, renewal. The eighth house is ruled by Scorpio again, so these things have very much deeper meaning of the mysteries of life and death, mysteries of renewal and regeneration. And we are now being regenerated, and it may happen through a certain loss, it may happen through a certain death, but we shouldn't allow ourselves to feel that that's the end of existence, because it's not, it's really not. It's just a renewal, it's just a new step onto those stairways to heaven, just a new step. And sometimes we go back, but we are always on these stairs going up and down, and these stairways are also spiral. So we now can understand that this infinity symbol, also the dragon eating its own tail, it's also related to electromagnetic system within ourselves, our electromagnetism, our aura, our field. So we have ability to transform this field, to dive deeper into our aura, into our energetic field, and to reprogram ourselves, because we can definitely reprogram ourselves during these times. We have this moment of clear vision through simplicity, and simplicity is very important, because when we are able to see things from that simple perspective, this is when we are able to be in the present moment, and this is when we are able to see things very clearly, and to awaken those locked senses that we carry. We have many senses, we have much more than just these 5 physical senses, so much more. You know, what about our intuition? What about our 6th sense? What about the things that we feel that are not there? There are many things that we don't see. You know, the saying that what you see is what you get is ridiculous, because there are so many more things that we don't see. So what about those things that we don't see? We also get them. And we are now really having an opportunity to see through these things, to see through things that are torturing us, to see through the pain, to see through the suffering, to see through the misery, to see through the wounds, to see through the loss, to see through death, to see through life, to connect the life and death, and to see that creates the whole. life and death create the whole, like day and night, they create the whole day. Like the parts of the body, they create the whole body. So it's not just about one part, it's about the whole existence. And we are now learning about these things, and we can understand that this energy of dragons, serpents, and all the stories from mythology are there to give us a deeper message. They are not just stories, they are always telling us something more about ourselves, about who we are, and about our journey here in this world. So this is there is a story of Hydra and Hercules, and Hydra represents the shadow of the Scorpio, and Hydra is fighting with Hercules, and we know that in this battle, as many times as Hercules is trying to go head on to fight with Hydra, it gets worse. So this is what happens when we try to kill our unconscious compulsions. They actually tend to become even worse. And this is not the way to deal with our shadow. When we confront this shadow and darkness directly, we actually, when we go head on, we make it stronger. And if we push an obsession or fear back into the darkness, and the more we do that, the more it pushes back. And this is the same when we avoid things, when we go into escapism modes. What we do, we create the results even worse, because this energy pushes back. What we resist, it persists, right? What we suppress, it has the power to become stronger and stronger. So we lose until we lose control of ourselves. This is what happens with addictions, right? We lose control of ourselves, and we don't have any control over our addictions. And as I said, these addictions can be many. We can be addicted to a certain type of food, we can be addicted to a certain person, we can be addicted to a certain habit that we do every day that may or may not be bad for us, but as long as we are addicted, it's not good. Even if it's the best thing in the world, if we are addicted to it, we are slaves to it. We are not free. If we need something in order to feel something, it's never good, because there is a reason behind it. And what happens if we don't have that something? We become anxious. We become devastated. We fall into the grief or into misfortune, and we become depressed or whatever. So whenever we have a need, whenever we are actually in the state of being exalted or happy because of something, if it's because of I'm going to do this or that, I'm going to meet this person, I'm going to do this today, I'm going to travel in a couple of days, because I'm going to learn certain thing, because whatever it is, if it's because of something, it will pull us back into this mechanism of just chasing our own tail and not being able to break free from it all and to see who we truly are, to see our true essence being. And of course we should know that we are also much more than our DNA. We are not defined by our DNA. We are to some point into this world, but we should know, it's very important just to be aware that we are much greater than our DNA, than our blood, than our bodies, than our beliefs, much greater than our knowledge, than our education, than our titles. We are much more than that. We are pure manifestation of the source. We are really pure manifestation of the source. And the moment of dealing with this Hydra, with the beast, like Hercules did in the myth, we have to bring the beast into the light or burn it with fire. And we know that light and fire are symbols of awareness and consciousness. So we have to be aware and conscious of what's going on. And these energies now of Taurus and Scorpio give us powerful moments to do so, because they are the most intense eclipses in the zodiac, Taurus and eclipse, because they hold this spine and this energy of awakening, the Kundalini, the snake energy. And Taurus represents the voice. And we know that the saying in Bible that in the beginning there was a word, the logos, the word that created something. But this word is also, this is the sound, and the light is sound. Sound is converted light, and light is converted sound. So light and sound are one and the same thing in word, but just in different manifestations. They are all the same thing, and they create this reality. They shape and create and form things in our material world. The sound, the light, these things have very great power, and these kinds of things can transform our perceptions. This kind of truth. In the beginning there was a word. What does it mean actually? It means that this light, this spark of light, and from where the sound came out, and the sound and light created time and space and matter and energy, and these electromagnetic polarities created the cross. That's why we have the symbol of the cross. That symbol is not just a physical symbol, it's more than that. It has to do with energy and matter and time and space, and these are very important things. But again, I won't go into those details, but just again, the cross is also a human being who is standing with arms like this, and it's the star as well, and in the center is the connection between the time and matter and space, and these are the four elements as well, all coming out from the fifth element, ether. So the fire and air and water and earth, all these four elements, the cross that we carry within ourselves. We are the cross, we are the symbol. Each of us is a symbol, and we are a live symbol because we carry that spirit and soul essence within ourselves. And the voice has the power to wake up our pineal gland that exists in the top of our skull, the top of our head. That's the top of the mountain. That's why we are always going higher, reaching highest places, right? The pineal gland is right there, and we can, when we transform and purge our energy, our bodies, our mental and emotional selves, we can then bring that energy and allow that snake and that dragon to rise up and to reach the throat chakra and to wake up that true voice within ourselves, to help us to create that sound. And through the sound and the voice we can really wake up. Like, let's wake up, right? Thanks to words we have the power to communicate. And then we have this Mars, the ancient ruler of Scorpio, in Gemini retrograde. This is perfectly aligned, as always it is. It's really the magnificent dance of energies, and they happen in ourselves as well, and it's about how we channel them. Are we able to channel them? So we are told to be the powerful catalysts of change. This is the energy of being able to catalyze all these energies. So the three stages of Taurus, I have to mention as well, are the bull, the artist, and the architect. And they all carry that creation of life within itself. The creation of life, the sustenance, the being independent, not being dependent on something in order to have the comfort and the joy of being alive. So it's a moment to celebrate being alive, being here in this moment, and knowing that we have survived everything that happened before in our life. We have survived it all. So let's just celebrate this moment that we are here. And the bull can be the raging bull, and it can be the calm bull, the bull who enjoys smelling flowers in the field, or it can be the raging bull. So it's up to us which manifestation of these bulls will happen and will be manifested through us. So we can choose. We can remember the power of the voice of the soul. That's the voice of the soul. And actually our physical voices are manifestations of our spirits. They really are the manifestation of our essence, because each voice is unique. And we can now understand that these three stages of Taurus the bull, the artist, the architect are taking us into the power of who we are, and this power is the power of the creator. So we are co-creators. We can definitely be artists because we are born to be artists, and we are the architects of our life, but we forgot these things. So this is why this truth serum that Scorpio injected in us is very important. And this truth serum is maybe uncomfortable, but we have to accept it, we have to go through it, we have to allow this energy to pass through us. So this is not about escaping, going into escapism modes, because even if we do, it will hit us again. So there's no escaping, really. So it's much better if we decide to face these things, to look at them, to try to be as aware and as conscious as we can. Just like Hercules did, he used the light and the fire to defeat the Hydra. The Hydra represents our unconscious part. Those are actually demons, and the beasts are always those unconscious parts of ourselves that we don't know of, those lower unconscious parts that rule us. Those can also be the lust, the jealousy, possessions, things that greed, 7 deadly sins. All these things are very strong in each and every one of us, and it's just waiting for the right moment when these things are triggered. So we may not know what we have inside of us. We may not know what can be triggered, what kind of reaction can come out from us. So during these times we may see these things that may even shock us. Uranus shocks. So we may be shocked by how we react. We may be shocked by how others react. We may be shocked by seeing that inner Hydra rising, or the Hydra in somebody else. But we should know that when we are really able to be aware and conscious, to be in that present moment, not in present tense, but in present moment, which means to be able to communicate with everything that happens around us without the translator, just being able to absorb the energy, the language that nature is giving us. Taurus is about the nature, the mother nature, and the Taurus and Scorpio together, it's all about valuing the mother nature and valuing that mother nature in ourselves, because our body is our temple, and we have to understand that we are much more than this. But through our bodies and through honoring our bodies, we can reach those levels. Taurus is the physical, while Scorpio is metaphysical. And as I said, Taurus is life and blooming, while Scorpio is decaying and death. But they are inseparable. Taurus and Scorpio, they are complementary. They are one and the same thing, but different degrees. So this is how we understand that these things are always working together. They are collaborating. Life and death are collaborating. And we should bring this knowledge into ourselves. Let these things collaborate within ourselves, not to be in the constant battle of light and dark, because they should be in harmony. These things should be in harmony. As I said, let this spiral just float normally, like the flow of the river, right? And the river is also related to Scorpio energy, the wild river, the current that we cannot control, that we just sometimes have to allow ourselves to flow within. And it's very important to know that this body is actually truly the temple, and that we have within ourselves everything that we need in order to be happy, to live life that is really full of everything, to be able to eat the nectar of life in every moment, to see each moment as a blessing, no matter how hard or uncomfortable it is. We are here to face it, to witness it, to observe it. When we are able to observe reality as true observers, not to be entangled subjectively with our feelings and our close-mindedness, but when we have ability to use these different pieces of puzzle and collect it into the bigger picture, and when we have ability to see from this present moment, from the simplicity moment, then we are able to be in touch, in connection with our soul and with our spirit. Then we have ability to bring that energy from the bottom of the spine, and to wake up our true voice, and to wake up our pineal gland, and to be able to see and to connect and to communicate with everything around us, because everything is interconnected and everything is very simple. The truth is very simple. We see that things become complicated when we don't know them. Complex things are things that we don't understand. They are complex and complicated just until we understand them. When we understand them, then they are simple. Taurus is simplicity, Scorpio is complexity. But together they teach us about these things, and they give us the true vision, the truth. So we can see the truth behind these complicated things. These are things that are unknown. Scorpio, the unknown, the complex. So when something is unknown, we complicate it. And we started living life that is much complicated. We forgot how to live life in a simple way. What is simple life? What does it mean to be simple? Do we know the answer to this? What is natural? What is truly a simple life? It doesn't mean boring. People mix these things because society somehow and the system somehow managed to impose that belief that what is simple is boring. But what is simple is the most exciting thing ever, because simplicity puts us into this present moment, and this is when we have ability to see the reality, the hidden nature of this reality, to see through these symbols that I spoke about, to understand that everything is interconnected, that every tree and every leaf is communicating with us in every moment, and that we can communicate directly. We can just ask the question and we will receive the answer. We just don't know how to interpret it. But when we are in this simplicity mode, when we are able to be in the present moment, this is when we don't need the translator. We don't need to search for the meaning of what does this mean, of what does this symbol mean. We just know it because we carry this knowledge within ourselves. It's all there. We carry this knowledge, and this symbol of cross is within ourselves. And the symbol of cross is not related to any religion. It has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with the truth, with the true knowledge of who we are, with the nature of, with the truth and the laws of the universe, of the creation, of the horizontals and the vertical paths, and of the time and space and matter and energy, and how everything is transformed into one another, and about the four elements and the ether, and about our soul records, so about electromagnetism, about the sun and its path, about the rays of the sun. So these are the things that we have to understand, that we are now learning. And Scorpio and Taurus, Scorpio is water element and Taurus is earth element, and they are very much powerful together because earth carries water, and together earth and water bring life. And when we want to plant a seed, we plant it deep down into the darkness under the ground, and we need also water to nurture that seed in order for this seed to grow outside of this darkness. So we are all these seeds. Each of us is this seed that is planted into the darkness, Scorpio, darkness, planted inside the seed, Taurus, the water that needs to be used to nurture the earth, Taurus and Scorpio, matter and energy, in order to grow and to sprout out from the earth onto the surface and to rise above, to receive the rays of the sun, to receive and to be able to experience time and space thanks to matter and earth, and then again to go to grow, to decay, to come back into the earth and to grow again. So this is the story of death and rebirth and transformation and regeneration. And as we know, the moon also goes through these cycles. There are three main cycles, and this is about the moon's appearance, its disappearance and reappearance. So the moon appears during the new moon, it disappears after the full moon, as it will start disappearing after this full moon in Taurus. It will start waning and it will start disappearing. So it will disappear and before the new moon, 3 days, it is completely invisible, we cannot see it in the sky, and then it reappears again. So this teaches us again about the cycles of death and rebirth and of ourselves. Nature constantly is telling us the truth of our nature, of who we are and how our journeys travel. How do we travel? So we travel through time and space all the time. We are all time travelers, actually, and this is what we are learning now. This is the truth serum that is given to us, and we can, at least some of us, break free from certain beliefs, from old conditionings, from old self-limiting models that we still carry on with ourselves. We have ability to really see that our true nature is much more than this, and if we are able to bring more simple life into our everyday life, to live life with more simplicity and with greater meaning, because immediately if we have a simpler way of life, we are immediately improving the quality of our life, the value of our life, Taurus, the values, Venus, the values, the comfort, and this is when we are able to truly directly communicate with everything around us and to allow those leaves to fall away so that the new ones can grow. And this is really beautiful, because this teaches us that these energies don't have to be seen and perceived as something negative, as something traumatic, as something deadly. They can be, and some people will perceive them in this way, and some people will experience it in this way. But if we are aware that this doesn't have to be this way, that we are much more than this, that we carry these elements and symbols in ourselves, that we are a life symbol, and that we carry the spirit, we have ability to transform our perception of what is happening in our lives, and to see that everything is working for us. Life is never against us. We are against ourselves sometimes, not our true selves, but our mental processes, programs, our beliefs, our emotions that we identify with. We identify with our thoughts, with our emotions, with our beliefs, but this is not who we are. And when we identify with these things, we complicate our life. We miss to be in the present moment. We miss to be in the simplicity. We miss to communicate with nature. But when we are able to allow these leaves to fall, to allow ourselves, to some parts of us to go, to die, to be reborn, then we can really sprout and blossom. So let's blossom from this darkness. Let's be those seeds that grow, that are fed with water and earth, and that are able to experience time and space, and to see the vast universe of who we are within ourselves and outside of ourselves. And I don't know what else would I say about these eclipses. I mean, there is so much more to say, but I think this is more than enough for all of us to digest, to process, to go through, to hear these words alive, not to try to analyze these words and the meaning of what was transferred into this video, but to try to hear these words in the present moment. Just be present while listening, and the listening itself and the voice that is transferred is the voice of many. It's not only my voice, it's the voice of the many, and this nature around me also communicates all the time. So if you are listening and watching this, it already means that this is a deeper message for for each of you who are watching and listening to this. And I really hope that it will help you go through this process and let that truth serum wake you up. So let's wake up, all of us. I'm reminding myself also, thanks to this, because I was really taken back into this lower state of being during this time. I had experience for just feeling that anger coming, but anger is not bad. It's good to feel this anger. It's good when you know how to channel it. So it's all about channeling, knowing how to channel it, not trying to suppress anything, not trying to think that, oh, what I feel is bad, so I have to run away from this feeling. No, you feel it. feel it, but don't allow it to take you over. Don't allow that energy to consume you, but let it be expressed freely, and then you will be able to understand the real meaning of filtering those and channeling those energies. And I also just want to say to all of you who are watching that you can also check the latest article about this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus on moonomens.com website. This is what Lucrezia, our other astrologer from Moon Omens, is doing. She's writing these articles and they are very powerful. So all of you who want more details about the transits, about the squares, about the meaning of each aspect and transit, go there and check out that latest article. And also for all of you who want to be more intimate with yourselves during each month and to know your guidance, I also recommend monthly horoscopes. If you want to know more of my work, these monthly horoscopes are huge, and they are not just regular horoscopes for predictions. There is many more things there. There are healing tips that help you with techniques, with how to deal with these energies, how to help yourself practically, how to do things practically, you know, every day. There are exercises, there are techniques in those horoscopes, there are guides there are advices and stories that will help you understand the energies that you're experiencing, that will help you understand things from the past, that will help you understand the global energy that is happening. So I also recommend these monthly horoscopes for those of you who want it, of course. And I also hope that this live had a deeper message for you. I mean, I know that it has a deeper message for you, but just dive deeper into that simple space, that simplicity mode, the tranquility, where you can build your inner strength and recognize the true power of you being an architect and you rising from the ashes like the phoenix that I spoke about in 3 stages of Scorpio in previous live. So thank you for listening. Thank you very much. And this is the energy that will be strong for another 6 months. So don't forget this. Don't just be 3 days without 4th day doing this stuff and thinking and being, not thinking, but being in this mode of knowing that there is much more than what you see, and that when you dive deeper into yourself and you ask yourself, what is simplicity for me? How can I simplify my life and have more meaning? So let's do this for the next 6 months, and then again for the next 6 months, and we will be able to create this as our natural way of living life. And this is how we can together build this peaceful environment, this stability of the collective, because the stability of collective definitely affects each and every one of us, because many of us pick up things from the collective that are distorted, that are chaotic, that are messy, but we also need this as well. So everything is purposeful. Don't blame anything. Just be able to see that we can be really present and aware and conscious, and that this eclipse can enlighten us. Okay, happy to be here with you today as always, and I love you all, and I will see you in 2 weeks to discuss the energies that will be very much connected with this one. It will be the new moon in Sagittarius. Thank you very much and see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.